All right, hello everyone. Here with Rod Olson of YYC Growers. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Malcolm. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, so if you've been in the light cellar recently, you have likely seen, if you're on a Wednesday afternoon, between, you get there, use about 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock.
Yeah, 3 till 6. We've got the YYC Growers just in the front part of the kitchen. And this is just one of how many drop-off pickup points in Calgary?
I think Wednesdays we have 5 and Thursdays we have another 4.
Wow, okay.
And our warehouse on Fridays.
Right. Yeah. So one of
10.
One of 10 locations. So this conversation is all about local food sourcing, and the man that's helping produce all that. So we're just sitting in the back of the light cellar here. Nice sunny day.
Very sunny.
Yeah. What will eventually become a little kind of patio here that we're working on. And I wanted to chat about local food production and food security. This is on the top of a lot of people's minds, especially as we kind of moving through this pandemic. And I think it woke a lot of people up to like, whoa, we've got a bit of a fragile system. And I know you've seen that. That's obviously why you're in the field of work that you're in.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people it was a wake-up call. I even remember reading an article in the CBC about Quebec, as a province beginning to think about its own dependence on not only just food, but every other thing imaginable. And so hopefully kind of at those higher levels of government, we're also seeing some shifts, but individually, absolutely, we've got to start moving that direction ourselves if people haven't already. And not only does it taste better, right? I mean, there's a benefit alone, local
benefit.
food, but there's numerous other benefits. So maybe let's start there. What do you see as kind of some of the top reasons, the top benefits for people to source their food locally?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest one was the shock that we all had going to the grocery store and seeing the shelves empty, and that kind of sense of dread that comes along with that.
Or you pull up into the parking lot. You don't want to get in the lineup to then go to the grocery store.
There is that point. I think that's why people have come to us in the midst of this, is because it's direct, it's easy, and we've done a lot to keep it clean. But yeah, I mean, for me, one of the huge benefits is that building that sense of community, local economy, and keeping money in our local system. We grow amazing food here in Alberta.
We do.
And typically it's like 3% food consumed is locally grown. So
3%? Is that all? Wow. Have you seen any statistics that's even moved an iota in the last few months?
Not locally.
No.
I do follow a few people that's been their whole aim, and they've pushed the needle like 1 or 2%.
Right.
And they were hoping for 10-15%.
Yeah.
So it's a big challenge to try and get that local thing going.
Pandemic to spur that on, but literally, like, let's just play that out, right? I mean, even what's going on in the States right now. I mean, who knows what direction? What we've seen already in 2020. They're already calling for food shortages that are looming globally. I don't know how many millions of people in the States are on food stamps.
Right.
I mean, there's some big serious issues. I mean, let's say the U.S. does kind of descend into this civil unrest, this chaos, sure being spurred on by racial issues, but there's all kinds of political issues with the election coming up this year. The people are like over 40 million people unemployed, right?
Yeah.
That could turn it in a wrong direction, and we absolutely, you say 3%, so 97% of our food, we're relying on it coming from places like California.
That's right.
Right? So thank God those trucks still run. Thank God the border's open. But hey, that's a pretty fragile system.
Incredibly fragile system. And I think that's, so we've been doing YYC Growers as a cooperative of different farms since 2013, 14.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we were ready to receive people's interest in choosing local. So it is astounding. We want to really kind of push the positive message, but and I guess like that's one of the things too. Like, can small towns in Alberta actually meet the need, meet the need that we have here? And I mean, we've been able to meet. We've more than doubled our subscription over the last 12 weeks. Thank you, COVID.
Yeah,
and
that's great. That's amazing.
It is. It's been really amazing, and I think getting a lot of people that didn't know we existed are so excited that that there is this robust kind of local food economy, and yeah, so we're really kind of trying to adjust now to our new community of growers or of eaters, and trying to figure out how best to serve their needs.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of the growing side, how many people are involved in YYC Growers on the production side?
So the farmers themselves?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have 15 member farms, and then we probably have about the same amount of farms that we source from that are all here within Alberta.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't dipped into BC, which we did maybe 3 years ago.
Right.
But yeah, so everything that we've been sourcing, it comes right here from Alberta. Everything from kind of mushrooms grown here in Calgary or microgreens to aquaponics. And so we have a warehouse here in Calgary and one down near Coaldale. And so they're able to produce like those fresh salad greens that we typically associate with coming from California, but they're grown right here in the province. And
yeah.
And I actually did a bricks test on
no way.
on the one.
Yeah.
And came out as a 9. So if you know, your bricks lettuces are typically in the 6 to 8
right.
for a good one, and so these ones are 9. So
wow, amazing.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I think there's I mean that's part of the flavor too. Like
the flavor, the freshness.
Yeah, if it's not traveling for 3,000 kilometers, it keeps its flavor, which also keeps its nutrition content.
Like, do you know how many days, you know the average between, kind of picking and table? What's the average number of days for salad greens, as an example?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a little depending on which day you pick up, but our Wednesday people that get pick up here, that's typically been picked on a Monday, a Sunday or a Monday, and it's delivered to the warehouse on Tuesday, and then it's in their hands on Wednesday.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think huge. I think the flavor's right there.
Yeah, totally. Flavor, freshness. I mean, and that's just as a consumer, and then there's all those other very tangible benefits about community, supporting local growers.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that, you said 3 years ago you had to, tap into the BC market, but this year you haven't, or you haven't had to do it for 3 years. That's amazing. So there's definitely an increase in the interest on consumer side, but also production is increasing.
Yeah, well, and I guess because of what we've all seen, and small farms have seen a huge surge across Canada, across the States, across the globe, and so there were some people that were watching this happen for the small farmer, and kind of knew it was on its way, and so I mean it's a perfect time for small farms, and so all of ours have definitely increase their production because we now have this growing interest and growing market for people that want this product, and so we couldn't be happier. It's amazing.
It's awesome. And what I've really been surprised at is the diversity of things being grown. You may think, okay, Alberta, we can produce beef, we can do potatoes, but it's it's salad greens, it's tomatoes, it's peppers, it's now exotic mushrooms, it's ginger. I've heard. In fact, I've got some in my fridge. I was at Sunnyside Natural Market, and the owner, Patty, she's like, Malcolm, I want you to try this ginger grown in Alberta. Curious.
I've got some trialing this summer.
Oh, you do? So you're going into it too?
We haven't seen it yet emerge in this cold spring that we've had, but we're hoping.
Yeah, amazing.
It should work.
Yeah, and do you plant from seed or from root?
Cutting from the
root itself.
Organic root. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, totally. Good. What are some of your kind of favorites? Tell me a story about one of your producers that you're really kind of impressed by and the work that they're doing and the quality they're producing.
Cool. Well. So I actually went to the Bionutrient Food Association conference last November with a farmer, Mike from Steel Pony.
Okay.
And he has really kind of dove in,
yeah.
with both feet on really kind of respecting the earth and doing everything that he can to kind of create a vibrant ecosystem below ground.
Right.
Because what we're learning more and more about soil health is that if that's healthy, then everything that it produces is full of nutrition, full of resonance. There's full of life and vitality, and when you eat that as a human, I would say like you can tell like there's a
For sure.
You feel the relationship. I don't want to get too crazy, but you feel the love. You feel and
well, it comes through in all these ways, like you say. It comes through in flavor, comes through in vibrancy. You can look at it, you can smell it, you can measure it with your bricks meter.
That's right. Yeah, it is science.
Yeah, totally.
And so, I mean, my urban farm is called Leaf and Lyre.
Yeah, that's right.
But I haven't been doing it so much because of the work I'm doing with YYC Growers. But I have this big contract with Una Pizza and Wine for their kale, for their Caesar salad.
Nice.
And so
that's good.
So Mike's actually helping us grow our kale. And so we had a beautiful time. And before we planted, we actually had this lovely little ceremony, burnt some sage, and just recognize that what we were about to do is a sacred task. That what we do as farmers is not unlike what a mother does, for a newborn baby. And so just kind of we paused before we did the planting, and I think that kind of awareness, that kind of recognition, really does translate into a much more vibrant and vital growing ecosystem for the plants. I mean, there's so much research is happening now around the fact that plants do communicate.
Absolutely.
From trees to people experimenting with doing hateful things to plants and doing loving things to plants, and the fact that they can actually measure the difference. And so so it's just I'm quite inspired because it really shows just how we as human species are interconnected with the ecosystem, and as we kind of keep turning our eyes and minds to doing that in a loving and respectful way, Mother Earth just kind of gives back to us in droves. Like it's
abundantly.
And
plant one seed, get exponential back, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is the economy of the natural world, but we've disconnected ourselves from that.
Yeah.
And so I think that so when you eat that food, there's something goes on. There's a reconnection that happens, and I think that's it's a brilliant part of
it's living outside the box. You know, like to live outside the box, you got to eat outside the box, right? Back to local, back to more food produced in harmony with nature.
Yeah.
And and then it's self life fulfilling in that sense all the way, like you say, in terms of what the conditions of the soil, teeming with microbes, to the health of the plant, to the health of the person that consumes it. Thus less reliant on all these inputs, right? Like pesticides and then pharmaceuticals, because someone's health is decreasing. This kind of thing.
Well, and maybe one little story from the bionutrient conference that I was at is just like, so when you do all of that eating, there's actually a change in the synapses in your brain, and so like it actually opens your eyes and minds to be able to see more of this way in the world,
right?
So there's a guy, he's creating a meter that one day you'll be able to put on your phone, you'll be able to go take it to the grocery store and zap the things, and you'll see how much nutrient quality is in it.
Right.
It's going to be a game changer for agriculture.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to be ready for that. But the guy that's kind of working on it is like a quasi, he's Amish, got, grade 6 education, but the guy is a genius.
Right.
And he is so particular about his diet because he knows that he needs his synapses to be functioning at such a high level.
Right.
So he wants to only eat food that is all these things that we just said, like from the microbial and all the way up. And so it's a mind-blowing thought experiment to think about, what we are, what we eat. And so if we're eating this really vital living food, that's what you guys do here at the Light Cellar, living foods. So if you're engaging that, you actually are opening up your capacity as a human person.
Yeah, wow, I fully believe that, and live it and experience it, and have seen that reflected in customers that come as well. And this little machine, you know, the gadget that's coming, you know, takes it to the next level. But I truly feel that we all have that capacity within ourselves.
I love that, Malcolm.
You know, not to say that like, oh, I'll just look at some lettuce and I'll tell you exactly how much potassium's in there, you know. But we have this intuitive, inherent sense that we know what is good food, right? And the more that we begin to choose that, the more attuned we become to that, the greater I love that our capabilities, our mind is literally turned on, switched on in a good way. And it takes a while. It takes a transition, because, you know, I was born and raised kind of with standard American diet, a lot of junk food, sugar, chemicals, you know, processed food that yet influences your mind in another way. Right? We've seen a lot of studies connecting, you know, like food dyes, just as one example, right? Or high sugar, high fat, that is not so good for the body, and that is kind of an unfortunate cycle that people get into. But the more we can break away, I like to say, come back to our own true nature. Well, how are we going to do that? It's the path, to me, has always been through natural foods. And where that goes.
Well, and I guess that's what makes me pretty excited to be working with YYC Growers, because it's not just me that thinks what we're doing is an important thing. Like every one of those farmers has soil health top of mind, you know, and therefore nutrient density top of mind, and that's the benefit that all of the eaters have. So it's an exciting place to be. Feel like we got lots to do. Lots of land to kind of make sure we keep moving in that regenerative, is what we call it. Regenerative direction. And
maybe which we can just touch on really quickly, this idea of regenerative agriculture. Maybe some of our viewers are aware of that, but just give us a quick little synopsis on, you know, I know the name is fairly self-explanatory, but in your own words, regenerative agriculture, and what that means, and what that can create for our future.
So I mean, mainly, they kind of talk about it being 4 different things, but at the end of the day, it is what it sounds like, and so you're trying to recover and re-heal the land, so that we're not just taking products out, but we're constantly putting back in. And so, I mean, that's cover cropping, that's making sure that soil is always covered, so it's got an armor, and that armor is plants, and those plants are doing an important work of transferring carbon dioxide into sugars for the microbial life. So basically, it's like a feeding frenzy for microbes. You want that strong microbe. It's integrating animals into the system. There's no regenerated ecosystem on our planet that doesn't have some capacity of animal in it.
Although it's funny, because I was part of a community for a couple of years, about a year and a half I lived down there, and they were trying to go with this idea of vegan farming. But it doesn't work. You need animal input. In part of that cycle.
I mean, we don't need to get into that. but it like vegan is a great pathway when you're trying to deal with CAFO meat.
Totally.
But when you're trying to deal with regenerating the landscape, then we do need animals in it
for sure.
So that's part of the regenerative. And what I love about it too is that it's not like, so we've got organic certification, but with regenerative, you kind of set your intention that you want to be that, and there are some measurements that go along with it: soil tests, leaf tests, organic material, organic material. Soil organic material. That's what it is. SOM. But it. As long as you are doing better the next year, you are regenerative. So you might start from a conventional system where you're pumping it full of chemicals and that. But if you decide, okay, I'm going to reduce my chemicals, and if you've reduced it, you're on the regenerative path. So
there's degrees.
There's degrees.
But it's a direction anyways.
It's a direction, and I feel like as human people, like it like I want to be getting better all the time too. So like it feels like a human path
for sure
as well.
Yeah, cool. Well, I mean that's huge. I mean, if we look at previous civilizations that have fallen, right? The old breadbasket back in the Middle East, like they depleted their topsoil, and
Absolutely.
they say the kind of the health, literally the viability of a civilization is dependent on its soil.
Totally.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we've seen that decline in our kind of this whole pandemic, is for whatever it is, however you interpret it, like I think there are some silver linings. It's causing us to stop, to pause, reassess, re-question the direction we're going. I did a whole series when this first set off. It was called the Community Immunity Series, and we're coming at it from the angle mostly of immune system health and that kind of thing. And I was chatting with Danny Vitalis, and he was, saying, well, we've all known, like how often in the last several years have we all said our lifestyle is unsustainable, right? Which means at some point it's going to end. And I think hopefully we're pausing enough to reconsider, to make different choices, and glad to hear that from a subscription standpoint of YYC Growers, that's supporting all these local producers, that's doubled this year. Amazing. So let's keep on that trend. Why don't you let those watching know how to connect with you if they want to be a part of YYC Growers, and a little bit of what it entails?
Sure.
Yeah.
So YYC Growers, our main feature is a harvest box program. So that means that you would sign up through our website, yycgrowers.com, and you can get a subscription, which means that you would, on a weekly basis, or we do have every other week, so bi-weekly, which is helpful for people that live alone. And then, the first thing you would do is pick your pickup location. So the Light Cellar is a perfect place to do that.
Yeah, if you're in the Northwest, or you make it part of your
that's right,
week.
So there's about 10 different pickup locations. We also have home delivery for locations that aren't necessarily close by to our current pickup. And then we kind of make sure that you're informed about what's coming. We try and keep those boxes as diverse as we can. I don't like eating the same thing all the time, and so we work hard at that.
I'll attest to it. You guys have done a great job. It's been like beautiful asparagus, and then it's been mushrooms amongst some good staples like the microgreens, the potatoes. It was parsnips last week. Peppers. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, and it really does. COVID's also been great because with our food, it's raw, naked food, and you have to kind of be able to know what to do with it. Or get creative with it, and so we've loved that. Always, wonder about ways to make it more convenient for people. But right now, we're really enjoying the fact that people are loving cooking right now.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, and that is part of relocalization, local food production, bringing it literally not only from the Wall Street to Main Street, but Main Street into your own home, right? Obviously, I'm a food producer here locally. I'd like to prepare things and make them available for sale, but I make it a point to teach everything that I actually make and sell, because I know on a business side, I know not everyone's going to do it all the time, but from a kind of a personal community standpoint, we need to be all engaged more in the kitchen, preparing things from scratch. That's a part of health.
Yeah, well, and it's the same thing with us. Like if we can help people learn how to grow a little bit of food, it only helps everybody.
Yeah,
makes them a little bit more food secure, because they're like, oh yeah, I can do that. Once you know how to grow a carrot or a potato, no one can take that away from you.
Oh, amazing.
And so even small backyards here in Calgary, great place to kind of build the soil and build some of your own, or grow some of your own food. So I really resonate with you kind of passing on as much as you can, and that's partly what we hope to do with YYC Growers too, on an actual growing the food side things.
Right, totally. And maybe we should just interject this. You've been doing something called spin farming, right, through Leaf and Lear.
That's right.
Right. So for those of anyone, like if you've got even just a giant lawn or a small piece of lawn, or maybe it's already a garden and you feel overwhelmed and you're not inspired to be engaged or put that much time and energy, the idea of spin farming is?
So SPIN stands for Small Plot Intensive, and so that means that farmers will gather acreage through small backyards, and with that create a business. And so even if you have your own small backyard, we are I think we've got a situation set up with YYC Growers with our web store where we could take small amounts of food. We'd have to know that it was grown in a good way with no chemicals, but we could even help move some of that, share some of that abundance kind of in our local community.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how I'm going to pull that off, but you know, if you're doing it, give us a call.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can help you out.
Well, and where I was going with that is you were involved at one point, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Where you would farm someone else's plot,
Totally.
right, for them essentially.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you know,
I would come in and they basically made the land available, and then I did everything else. They got a little. The rest of it I took and
took to market.
took it to market.
It's
yeah.
amazing because I mean one of the biggest barriers for entry as a farmer is land.
Totally. Yeah.
So what a brilliant concept, and I know that that's not unique to you or to Calgary. That's happening as kind of a movement, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It originated in Saskatoon with Margaret Gardner and
Oh wow, amazing.
yeah, and Wally Sasowich.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a brilliant thing. So even if you're thinking, oh, I want to learn a little bit more about agriculture, just start in your backyard.
Yeah,
and see what you can grow, and
Mm-hmm.
and then we can try and sell that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Right on. Well, thanks you guys for tuning in, watching. If you got any comments, questions, just post them down below. And one of us will get back to you. So thanks, Rod, for
Awesome.
being here. Make sure you check out YYC Growers if you're in the Calgary area. And doesn't matter who it is, support local. We got to build that local food system.
Yeah, that's right.
Bump up that percentage as much as we
right.
can.
You got
And
it.
even though it's 3%, that's the average. I won't ask you, but you probably are obviously miles above 3% in terms of what you source for yourself personally.
Right.
And so the collective is 3%, but individually we can make massive leaps above and beyond that.
Yeah,
So
brilliant. Maybe that's a challenge we could all do sometime.
right? Yeah, there we go. I like that. Okay, right on.